Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Can you hear me? Yes? Yes, you can hear me. Good, good. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you enjoy the journey in, into the life after death a la Egyptian. I wish I had the power that we all die, we'll do that, and we come back, but not yet. Not yet. This is a good thing. Not yet. So, yes. But it's a wonderful world, isn't it? And therefore, we can see why Blavatsky, in the Secret Doctrine, in Isis Unveiled, in articles she wrote, constantly quotes the Egyptian Book of the Dead. There is a lot of not only virtuous life, which what I focus on, right? But there is a lot of occult and esoteric teachings associated with cosmogenesis and anthropogenesis. A lot of it. And I didn't focus on that because we're going to have a session on the Secret Doctrine this afternoon. But you can see that there is a lot. It's a very long papyrus, and I hope that you will go and look at those great pictures and meditate on them. Look for the teachings of them in the Secret Doctrine and meditate, reflect on them. You're reflecting in your own life. Another topic for this morning, and Blavatsky also refers tremendously all the time, is our divine teacher, Plato. And Plato is very special, very, very special. I do recommend you to study, to really study, not just read, if you want to look for the divine wisdom in them, which is in all his dialogues, but to look specially in the Republic of Plato. And what you're going to look in the Republic of Plato is the idea of virtue, and of course, the myth of the cave, and reincarnation in the last. So virtue is throughout the Republic. You have in book 4 the 4 virtues, but then the myth of the cave, the allegory of the cave, is the meaning of life, right? Completely. It's a complete picture of that. We're going to touch a little bit on that. And then in book 10, it has 10 chapters, 10 books. In book 10, it's reincarnation, what we just saw in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Along that, it has a lot. If you like art, it has a whole intro to divine art. And also, it's very important to understand that, and we're going to see a little bit of that, and so on. So I want to be able to give you an insight into Plato's teaching and why it's so important to unveil the divine wisdom in us. So the first book to study, in my opinion, is The Republic of Plato. It's a great dialogue to start. Again, look for the virtues, look for the meaning of life, look for life after death, look for all the things that we study in Theosophy. Then of course, comes the Timaeus. And I don't know if you say Timaeus, Timaeus, right? But in that book is 3 things. They ask, what should we study? The Timaeus in the sequence, not in time, but sequentially, the Timaeus starts by saying, hey, yesterday we spoke about the Republic. So it's like a spiritual continuation of the Republic of Plato. So it might not have happened like that, the way he wrote it, but I don't know. But again, in the dialogue, it starts after the Republic, and they say, what should we speak about now? What's the topic? Now, if you're a member of this Theosophical world, and you say, well, why don't we talk about cosmogenesis? Isn't that a good topic? And then say, okay, everybody say, let's talk about the cosmogenesis. What else should we talk? And they say, how about the genesis of the human being? Anthropogenesis. Yeah, everybody. Let's talk about anthropogenesis. And then they say, and how do we end all this? What else do we talk? Okay, how about Atlantis? Isn't that yummy? What a book. It has the myth of Atlantis, it has cosmogenesis, anthropogenesis. And Blavatsky said, nobody understood that book. Not even me. But it's a wonderful book. So it's the second book I recommend you. We're going to quote a couple paragraphs from that book. And then the third, which is the PhD, right? Timaeus is the master's degree, which Blavatsky said nobody understands. And of course, the third book is the PhD on Plato. You know PhD, right? The PhD on Plato, which means that impossible. But it's the third book, and this is Parmenides. And in the Parmenides, Parmenides was a great master, in my opinion, as Kutumi, as Moria, as, an incredible master of wisdom. And the topic in the Parmenides is that high. He was a great teacher. He shows up, and he taught Socrates and enlightened the world. And Plato left his best teaching, which is the idea of the one, which is the topic of the secret doctrine, the one. So Plato has a lot to give us as students of theosophy. In the Timaeus, Plato said the following. He says that Zeus, or the great architect of the universe, the Demiurge, right? Demiurgos, right? He contemplated the plan. So I'm going to say the Demiurgos, right here, the Demiurgos. Hopefully that's the word in English. He contemplated the divine plan, which for Plato was the idea of the universe. This line means contemplation, right? Ousia in Greek is the ability to look inside and contemplate with your body, with your higher self, contemplate something so divine, that there is nothing human on it, and you can see the highest level, the idea of the universe, and you make the physical universe based on that. So he is the great architect universe. You see that? So in the Timaeus, we have the Demiurgos contemplating, meditating in the plan, in the idea of the universe, and he established it. If you were the Demiurgos, what would you say? You will say, let there be light, right? This is the light, correct? Let there be light. And behold, there is a beautiful universe out there. And in that universe, you and me are here. This is what happened in the Timaeus. Let there be light. This is a voice, a vibration throughout the cosmos that thrills everything and establishes a physical universe based on an idea. There is an analogy there, as above, so below, that you as human beings can contemplate an idea way up there, inside us, as deep as possible, which is as high in the universe. And by contemplating the idea, if you have the energy, you can make it. Isn't that true? If you see an idea and you have the will, you can be very creative, like the demiurge of the universe. You see that? So this is the mystery that Plato is unveiling to us. We are all creators, so to speak. We need to find some ingredients to do that. One, the ability, the talent to concentrate, the beginning of the voice of the silence. Isn't that true? Dharana. You know what I'm saying? Dharana, right? To concentrate into one interior object, an idea, right? We also need what? We need willpower to fix our mind into that, contemplate it with the buddhi, full of light, and then the mind has to grab it and let there be light. If you are able to do that, and some people are very natural, they don't study theosophy, but they have it. This is true. We're just putting it in Platonic terms. But we all need to do that. We all need to find those creative moments. Why? This is what a human being is, a very creative individual. Please remember the Timaeus. We study that to study divine wisdom, which is this. Isn't that cool? This is very important. You want to be creative everywhere, here is the mystery solved. Plato gave us a solution. So there are certain elements that you need to find in yourself, and if you don't find willpower, concentration, being able to see ideas, you need to find why, the barriers that is keeping you from doing that, because naturally we can do it. We should be able to do it, yes? Most of us, some of us, has done this naturally without thinking a lot of times. Isn't that true? Even to make a table or to paint something or etc., etc. So, in the Secret Doctrine, in Cosmogenesis, on page 16, it says, this bridge is called Fohat. You know that word? Fohat. And it's the thunderbolts that you see with Jupiter, right? It's that willpower, full of energy. Do you have it? Do you have that, bundle of energy in your hands? If not, why not? Why not? Ask yourself, what's keeping you, bless you, what's keeping you from exercising your divine will? So let's go back. Plato opened a world to us of ideas that are the most important teaching that can give to the world. These ideas became the foundation of the Secret Doctrine. Did you know that? So let me read you my favorite page. It says on page 16, this Fohat, this, unknown to the Western world, is what we call Fohat. It is the bridge. So if you don't see a bridge, trust me, this is a bridge, okay? I'm not Da Vinci, I'm not Eschner, which I discovered, incredible illustrator. I wish Eschner would be here, huh? Escher. Will be here and say, Escher, please draw a bridge. It will be incredible, isn't that true? So the Secret Doctrine says Fohat is the bridge by which the ideas existing in the divine thought, right? Divine thought, whether it's the Demiurgos, Zeus, Jehovah, Martin, or you, are impressed. We are at that level. Huh? That's me, patience, me, right? Wisdom, me, all the virtues, all the powers. This is me, and me, right? Sure. So it's the bridge by which the ideas existing in the divine thought are impressed on cosmic substance as the laws of nature. Therefore, in other terms, is a dynamic energy of cosmic ideation, right? The thought divine, this is the thought divine, transmitted and made manifest by the divine beings, the Anchohans, the architects of the visible universe. In other words, Fohat is the mysterious link between mind and matter. You see that? Now, you have to appreciate the most abstract idea in the secret doctrine, that the whole cosmos was manifested through this simple scheme. In us is applied. In human beings, this is applied. And if we don't focus and study and reflect and meditate on this simple line, we missed out the meaning of life, which is to be creative, to recreate ourselves, to share with our fellow travelers in this path the best of us, because the best of us come from those ideas that are in the soul of the universe. Isn't that good? Plato is it to show those ideas. Therefore, where do we find those ideas? Everywhere in Plato. Everywhere in Plato. Where is it used, those ideas? In the secret doctrine. These are the necessary ideas to establish a universe. The universe that you and me live upon. When we study Plato, we need to look for those ideas. If I ask you, if you were Jehovah, Zeus, and Jupiter, Ammon in Egypt, Ammon-Ra, and Brahma or Vishnu or Shiva, whoever you like, and say, which ideas do you need to establish the universe? Which one would be? And this is the beginning of the secret doctrine. See that? Plato did an analogy between these ideas and the world of virtues. And for him, every idea in the divine plan is also a virtue. Therefore, virtues are also the gates. You see that? The way to establish a universe. And some of those virtues are love, compassion, right? These are very Western ones. Plato called them wisdom, temperance, courage, right? Valor, and so on, harmony. These virtues are impressed in the physical world. The incredible part of this is the physical world has a bridge to the divine world. The physical world is seen with the physical eyes. How do we see the ideas, the Platonic ideas? With our spiritual eyes. Where is our spiritual eye? Where? It's not physical, and it's in the principle that we call buddhi, in the divine soul. One of the greatest teaching of Plato is his analogy in Book 6 of the Republic, where he says, as we have physical eyes to see physical objects and study them, because we have a sunlight providing the light necessary to see. You follow me? In the physical world, we have a sun shining light or throwing light, and with our physical eyes, we can see physical objects, and we can then study them, use them, relate to them. This is the physical. So, in the metaphysical world, in heaven, in our Western world, we have our metaphysical eyes, the eye of contemplation, that can see metaphysical objects. These are the Platonic ideas. These are the secret doctrine ideas. Do you see this? As we have physical eyes to see physical objects, we have eye of contemplation to see these ideas. We see really well in the physical universe. We have to, as students of divine wisdom, to start looking at these ideas, to see the other world. And what are we looking is at the divine plan of the universe. When you are able to contemplate one idea, any of the ideas, let's say the idea of justice, you will know about justice. You may not be able to talk about it because your mind hasn't caught up with that. You have an intuition of it. You have seen it from all the angles. But now you can paint it. Now you can sing it. Now you can find harmonies and music to dress that incredible experience, this illumination. Isn't that true? Great masters have done that. Great poets and painters have painted that. The greatest mystery solved by Plato is in this bridge. In this bridge, there is a radiance. There is a light, which we call fohat, of course. But this light, this radiance, he called it the idea of beauty, which produces in us the love of things. So when we see the physical universe, which is only the reflection of the ideas, follow me? Physical universe were made by an architect contemplating the ideas with divine will. When we look at the result of this, which is our physical universe, they were informed by the idea of beauty and love, and we fall in love with the things, and we see the beauty of it. So if you walking one day on the streets on The Hague, you see a little flower, and suddenly your inner eyes are open, not just your physical eyes. Your inner eyes are open and sees the beauty, the radiance of that flower. And you fall in love with the flower. What you're doing, according to Plato, is you're walking this bridge all the way to a state that you are no longer yourself. You and the flower and the idea of the flower are one. Do you follow me? Because you all have done that. For a split of a second, till the moment that you decide, this is my flower, and it's going to my flower pot, till that moment, for a split of a second, you fell in love because you saw the beauty, which is the window to heaven. See that? We do that with clouds, with trees, with things, right? And some great artists are able to build these beautiful things for us. Correct? So the idea of beauty and to express that is very important. So Plato told us the most beautiful artist and perfect artist in this universe is the demiurgos, because he sees the ideas. See that? Humans only see with the physical eyes the work of the demiurgos, and we imitate the demiurgos. You see that? We imitate. In the degree that that imitation becomes perfect and more perfect, because we contemplate the idea, because we see the beauty, we fall in love with it, in that idea we become like the demiurgos. See that better? That is so powerful in us. This is the meaning of life. The rest is we eat chocolate, we drink coffee, right? Here we ride the bike, right? The rest is life, and that goes really fast. Isn't that true? This life goes super fast. When I look back, where was I for 60 years? Where was I? I mean, this goes really fast. Time is an illusion. So Plato opened up for us a Platonic world, to say it, which is misunderstood because he said imitators are bad. He's saying artists are bad, but it's not because they are bad, it's because he wants to stay at this level. You see that? In the world of ideas. So we can imitate this and become creative. Isn't creativity an incredible thing to do, to have? We all have it. But the ability to express it so well, it depends on few elements. The higher self, right? The ability to contemplate ideas, willpower, fohat, willpower to make them. Then we look and we say, wow, this is beautiful. I fall in love. I can't sell this, right? And then the other person says, yeah, I'm your manager. You're going to sell that, right? But artists fall in love with the things, right? That's why, it's troublesome sometimes. To be mystic is troublesome. I see some people can relate really well to this. I'm sorry, did I hear?
Good artist is also reaching for that.
Yes, exactly.
Searching for it, and you can't always, because we are not gods yet.
We are not this yet. You see the analogy, right? As the divine beings do, so we can do. And the higher we go is when, according to Plato, the higher we go is because we can sustain the idea of beauty and love in our life. Sustaining it, it's very difficult. Because Kamamanas, the animal mind, immediately says, what's in it for me? What can I do with it? Can I write a book? Can I make 100? Can I take it home? Right? It's me, mine, possession, right? Selfishness. This is what?
Copyright.
Copyright, you got it. Copyright, the ultimate expression of mine. And it's true, we want to say, this is mine. I want to put Martin on it, right? And whatever, that's the way it is. But in theosophy, in Platonic terms, we want to stay here. And to stay here, we need to recognize beauty and love as the two goddesses that can take us there, right? And the Cupid, the arrow, that really, when we fall in love, we really messed up, unless it's divine, right? Because if we fall in love with the physical universe, it's impermanent. It's troublesome. We need to see the beauty and fall in love with the idea. Therefore, for Plato, a philosopher, a lover of wisdom, which in the end is going to be a theosophist, right? A student of divine wisdom, is the person who can see the idea in the object. This is a definition from the Republic. A philosopher is the one who can see the idea from the objects that participate in that idea. Cool? Yes? And a king, a president, a prime minister, therefore, is the one who can see the idea of justice in a state, in a nation, in a kingdom, and so on. The idea of justice. The idea of justice is perfect. And that's book 1 of the Republic. He opens up the dialogue by trying to understand what is justice, the idea of justice, by falling in love with perfection, by telling you this is an art, this is a virtue. And when you see injustice, you need an antidote to injustice, to bring harmony back. Plato then recognizes that there's injustice in the world. And when there is injustice in a nation, in a city, right, city-states in ancient Greece, two things are proof of that. Two. He said, there are two things that you can tell that a nation, a city, is in the wrong path. When they don't see the idea of justice, when they don't have the antidote for that. Two professions, lawyers for the mind, doctors for the body. If you have a lot of lawyers and doctors, it's because everybody's unhealthy and confused.
And too many.
Too many. Thank you. When you have too many, Plato is deadly, by the way. When you have too many lawyers, and I don't know if there is any lawyers and doctors here, but that's the reality. This is Plato. I mean, he saw the idea. He saw the idea. Isn't that true? If we don't know, we're unhealthy. So seeing the idea gives you the antidote, because you see what's perfect and you see what's imperfect. That's the antidote. So in your life, when you see what's a perfect human being, in Kabbalah, Adam Kadmon, in esoteric Christianity, the Christ, and so on and so on. If you like Hare Krishna, Krishna, right? So when you see the perfect, the idea of the human being, and you can contemplate that, and you see yourself, you see the difference. Because it should be as above, so below. And then you say, I need an antidote. First, stop eating too much croissants. Second, and so on, I'm just sharing with you. Cut down the chocolate, cut down the coffee. You know what I mean? You know it. Why we cannot do it? Well, some of you can. Because we are not perfect. And then what happens? We come back. We come back. Why? How? We saw it in the Book of the Dead. This is as far as we go, we drop. Right? A meat will eat us, digest us, and to the world again. Right? You saw the three parts. It's so easy. Theosophy is very simple. You do it or you come back. You do it or you come back. And if you do it, you come back with you haven't finished yet. Right? And when you are just about to do it, you have a choice in the voice of the silence of stay or come back. And they say, come back because you love humanity. Bummer. I want a vacation. No. For the love and compassion, you come back. I'm tired, And I want nirvana forever. And say, well, maybe. No, not really. Right? And in the midst of the cave, they push you down. You said, if you are having a good time in the world of ideas, it's time to go back to the cave. Isn't that true? To do what? To wake up people. To tell them what? There is a secret doctrine. Study that, a voice of the silence, a virtuous life, and so on. Isn't this a wonderful philosophy to pair with theosophy? Plato. Please, don't forget Plato. There is a reason why Madame Blavatsky, a very incredible instrument of the divine wisdom, quoted Plato all the time. She didn't explain why. And I think at that time, in 1886, when she wrote The Secret Doctrine, people were studying Plato more than nowadays. Don't know if it's true, but I think she took it for granted that people knew Plato. So we need to recover that teaching. And in Plato, we look for the ideas, we look for the virtues, we look for the creativity, the antidote, etc., etc. So far, so good? Yes? There is not only Plato, but there were the Neoplatonists. And the Neoplatonists were a bunch of people who were very enlightened. My favorite is Proclus, because I like to share with you my favorite things. Proclus is a wonderful fellow. And Dionysius of Areopagita, also called Pseudo-Dionysius. Look for him. He's a Christian, great mystic, who understood that Plato is disappearing and the schools are being destroyed, and he dressed Platonic teachings in Christian robes. See that? And I would like to read you a paragraph of that. And maybe to save time, I will ask Susan to read that for me, to save a little bit more voice. But you have to be very close.
Yes. Yeah, I think
because here's the microphone. This is my trick, huh? To get my wife really close. Oh, bummer. Herman, this is my thing. I'm not human, by the way. Okay, so please.
So, yeah, and you were mentioning sometimes this puzzling separation to us of this, the ultimate and perfection that we reach towards.
Right.
And this was a letter in Dionysius' Divine Names, Dionysius the Elder to a
One
fellow
of the books
elder.
that he wrote,
To
Divine
a fellow
Names.
elder,
Yeah.
Timothy. And those of us who were talking this week.
But because of time, can you just read this
Sure.
paragraph? Because it's 3 pages.
Okay.
And we don't have the time. But
All right.
This is a wonderful book, by the way.
To the quote.
Yes, to the quote.
Now, as I have already said, we must not dare to apply words or conceptions to this hidden, transcendent God. We can use only what Scripture has disclosed. In the Scriptures, the deity has benevolently taught us that understanding and direct contemplation of itself is inaccessible to beings, since it actually surpasses being. Many Scripture writers will tell you that the divinity is not only invisible and incomprehensible, but also unsearchable and inscrutable, since there is not a trace for anyone who would reach through into the hidden depths of this infinity.
Yes, one pause here. Therefore, the demiurgos, which in Theosophy is the third logos, right, is not visually there. It has to be, it's mystically there, right? We have to see with the inner eyes. So the physical eyes cannot see them. Okay.
And yet, on the other hand, the good is not absolutely incommunicable to everything. By itself, it generously reveals a firm, transcendent beam, granting enlightenments proportionate to each being, and thereby draws sacred minds upward to its permitted contemplation, to participation, and to the state of becoming like it. What happens to those that rightly and properly make this effort is this: they do not venture towards an impossibly daring sight of God, one beyond what is duly granted them, nor do they go tumbling downward where their own natural inclinations would take them. No. Instead, they are raised firmly and unswervingly upward in the direction of the ray, which enlightens them. With a love matching the illuminations granted them, they take flight, reverently, wisely, and in all holiness.
This is how an incredible Platonist describes the flight to the idea. It is following this being. There is a ray that we see, which is described as beauty and love, and we fly to the good. The good is the attribute of the divine plan. It's good for Plato. Therefore, what shines us in the world of the ideas is the idea of the good. Now, Plato defined idea, and remember this, Plato defined an idea. Just think about for a moment, an idea. This is any idea, the idea of good, the idea of justice, the idea of beauty, the idea of love, the idea of the universe, the idea of the human being, the idea of a dog. The idea. Plato defined it in words. An idea as the most brilliant light of being. Listen to this. When you are in the world of ideas, what you want to observe, when you get there with your buddhi, what you are observing is something magical, the most brilliant light of being. Which being? The object of your concentration. If it happens naturally, what you are going to do with it, right? The most brilliant light of being. That most brilliant light of being, it has no form, no shape. It's just light. There is the mystery of what you're going to do. There is the mystical moment that you are illuminated. See that? The ray, the light, brilliance. You are full of brilliance when you get it. It's that aha moment, right? When you, I saw it. Now comes a big, difficult task to do it, because it's never like that. Why? Here is a shape. Here is perfect brilliance, light. How can you do it? How can you do it? You saw it with the buddhi, with your intuition, something transcendental. Now Mana says, okay, it has these elements, and Kamamanas, with your body, is going to build it, your physical body. Now you need willpower, and you never satisfy with what you do. Because you saw brilliant light, you do in an object. If you are really good, it becomes something really good. Do you have handy the illustration of Escher, the butterflies? Is it? I don't think I brought it with me. Oh, you don't have the internet here. Escher had an illustration that is called the butterflies. And it's right here. And in that diagram, he starts with brilliant light. It's very simple. You see this? Brilliant light. And he starts developing the idea, and then the butterflies fly. You see that? He saw it. He really saw it. I can tell you that his soul, when he looked at this, actually saw the most brilliant light of being as the object of contemplation was, I need to capture the essence and the idea of the butterflies. Isn't this perfection? Just look at it. I mean, it's incredible. A year earlier, I was born. Maybe there is some connection. Don't know. Don't know. But this is incredible. Do you see that? Isn't that what we want? To see the most brilliant light? So, if we are looking at human beings, and we have a variety of human beings, like there is a variety of butterflies, with the physical eyes, we see the variety, what Plato called the many. But if we go to the idea, not only we see the one, but there is no shape. It's a brilliant light. The divine human is a brilliant light. We all brilliance. And we call that the monad, the Atma Buddhi. That's the only moment that we can all be equal in the eye of our higher self. Because we may say, I like this butterfly, I don't like this butterfly. This butterfly, this butterfly, taka, 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 right? We name them, we classify them, but what do we do here? It's just brilliance. It's just an idea. It's just the most brilliant light of being, of the object of your concentration, of your meditation. Isn't this wonderful? It's perfect. It's perfect. What he did also is he expressed this in other pictures from outside to inside, from inside to outside. He saw it in 3 dimensions. So explore Escher from the point of view of theosophy, of ideas being manifested. And you see a different world. This is beautiful by itself, but there is so much occult, divine wisdom here. Please, this is something way, way beyond ourselves. This is a state of absolute, what Plato would call madness, when you find it full in love, right, with the beauty of the thing. And you can see all that, the stages, right? 7. And now comes the theosophy. There are 7 planes, there are 7, we love that. We love to describe it, we love to compartmentalize it, and here is the mind, and Kamamanas, and the astral. We're very good at that. But what we need is to enjoy this, to have that theophany, this realization, right? Like Escher had. And so the great masters, and so Mondrian, and so Kandinsky, and so Rembrandt, they all saw something, they depicted it differently. Isn't that true? This, ladies and gentlemen, is what theosophy gets to offer us. If we take it not that serious, because we need the lightness of moving from what Susan read into that light, from the beam of ray that comes from above to below, we need to travel. But we need to fall in love with beauty, the beautiful things. And to do what? To contemplate the most brilliant light of being, which is inside us. Let's take a break, a lunch break. Thank you so much, everybody.
We have a lunch break. U heeft, als u een lunch wilde hebben, een bonnetje gekregen. En we beginnen weer om 2 uur strak.